are watching the Jurassic Park breakdown, and this is from the channel The Deep Dive. I'm sure you've heard of them, but if you haven't, I'll pop it up on screen, and the link to the original video is down below. So this is going to be like a cut down version of just like the fun things I say. So if you want to see the full version, go check it out on their channel because it's really good. The Jurassic series is my favorite series, and I can be the first to recognize that not every installment is a hit, but I love them so much, except that one.
After 30 years, how does this still look so damn good? Yes, the rain, the scale, the little splashes on the steps. But really, it's not as much the look, it's the sound of the roar that shuts us the hell up. It's a mix of a tiger, an alligator snarl, and really the elongated pitch downward trumpeting of a baby elephant.
The noise of that T-Rex, if you put your headphones on, like jack the volume up and you hear that T-Rex roar, it is so intimidating.
I'm Eric Voss, and this is The Deep Dive, a channel that dives deep into the hidden secrets and agendas of the films you love. Jurassic Park, which came out 30 years ago this summer. 1993 was the peak of Spielberg's career. Let's dive in. The film opens on Isla Nublar, a fictional island 120 miles west of Costa Rica. Spielberg fixes out with the reveal of a forklift. Here, the lights are blinding and brutal, from floodlights and flashlights, total overkill, the oppression of man over the natural world.
I mean, it was dark. What were they supposed to do to light it up? They can't just have a fake sun.
The velociraptor known as the Big One, they created the raptor's squeal with a mix of the high-pitched chirps of a dolphin, plus the low-pitched grunts of a...
Oh, it does sound kind of dolphin-y. I didn't know what they use for most of these, but it does sound a little dolphin-y.
Walrus with some goose
Ew,
sounds
walrus?
because these
Scary
creatures evolved
goose.
into birds.
Look at that
and
goose-ass
Spielberg
tongue.
The attorney representing the park investors, Donald Gennaro, inspects an amber mine in the Dominican Republic.
When he hits his head on the beam.
We hear Juanito say,
Qué lindo eres.
which translates to, "You are so beautiful, you will make a lot of people happy." As in, a lot of viewers very happy, but in this world, a lot of people very sad and very dead. The teaser trailer for Jurassic Park did not use any footage from the movie, just promo shots from a South...
I've never seen the teaser trailer. All this came out when I was like 2. I've never even seen an original trailer for Jurassic Park. I low-key didn't even know they had teaser trailers back then. I thought it was just like one trailer and then they throw out the movie.
And it's just so cool to think back on a time when showing just some promo shots around the context of the movie was enough to sell it.
Now you can get sued if you put out a trailer and what you put in the trailer doesn't happen in the movie. I don't know if that suit ever, if anything really ever came from it, but someone did try to sue. But a whole trailer or a whole teaser and none of that footage is in the movie and people still got so excited. I kind of wish we could do that now. That way when you go into a movie, it's all completely new to you, but you still know kind of hints of what's gonna happen.
Dr. Alan Grant rises in frame. Sam Neill was cast in this movie after Harrison Ford turned the role down. And after Ford saw this movie, he was so glad he did because Sam Neill is perfect in this
He
role.
really
You
is.
could definitely see some Indiana Jones in the mix here.
Even their hats.
And Grant explains to the others,
Well, maybe dinosaurs have more in common with present-day birds than they do with reptiles.
Michael Crichton sourced this from paleontologist Jack Horner, who the character of Alan Grant is partly based on. The movie and Crichton's book are titled Jurassic Park. Most of the dinosaurs we see in the movie come from the Cretaceous period, after the Jurassic period.
I wonder if that's why when they made the show, they call it Camp Cretaceous, because they're like, well, most of our dinosaurs do come from that. Or realistically, I think out of all the eras, they picked the ones with the coolest sounding names, and they're like Jurassic and Cretaceous. Low-key, they are the coolest sounding names.
Grant scares the hell out of this poor skeptical kid.
That's when
The kid was a little shit.
from the front, but from the side.
From the other two raptors you didn't know were there. John Hammond's helicopter blows dirt on all the fossils, showing how little he really cares about actual paleontology.
Yeah, so disrespectful. Oh my gosh, the whole bullshit too of John Hammond being this nice ass old man. He is an asshole in the book. He doesn't even really care about his grandkids. He cares about them enough to where people aren't like, you're a fucking psycho. But oh man, he is crazy in the book and he definitely gets what he deserves. I wish his scene in the book, you've read it, you know it, I don't really want to spoil it, but I wish they put it in the movie. I think they low-key kind of put something like it, maybe in the second movie.
Grant finds Hammond in his trailer. There is a cut where Hammond switches from having a white rag in his hand to having a pink one. A forgivable gaffe, considering in the previous shot he was just using that pink rag. Sean Connery was considered for the role of this Scotsman. Richard Attenborough was ultimately cast. Actor and director. John Hammond in Crichton's book was a far more villainous character, but Steven Spielberg frames the character in this movie as more of a naive, impish dreamer. This movie uses the character of John Hammond as a metaphor for Steven Spielberg's own technological folly. Grant,
I'm pretty sure the movie's like, we want to make sure it's affordable for everyone to come to this island. We want everyone to be able to see dinosaurs. In the books, he's like, no, we don't give a fuck about anyone poor. You need to be rich to come here.
they only accept the offer to visit the island to fund their dig for another 3 years. Because it's not the science fiction they're interested in, it's a science. Dodgson, we got Dodgson here!
See, nobody cares.
Company to John Hammond's engine arrives in San Jose. This ain't San Jose. San Jose is not on the coast in Costa Rica. Dodgson leaves the cab door open and stiffs the cab driver. Don't get cheap on us, Dodgson.
If I was that cab driver, I would have went after him and slapped his hat off his head.
Don't get cheap on me, Dodgson. That was Hammond's mistake.
In Crichton's book, Nedry was subcontracted by John Hammond to create the park's security system, and Hammond cheated on his pay. But in the film, this subplot was left as kind of a vague disagreement between the two men. Everyone gets to know Ian Malcolm on the helicopter.
I love this laugh.
Malcolm wears all black, Hammond wears all white, showing how Hammond is a blind optimist, whereas Malcolm, as an expert in chaos theory, expects the worst.
That is one big pile of shit.
I'm pretty sure Ian Malcolm does actually explain why he wears all black in the books, and I don't think that was it. Their wardrobe choice had anything to do with like one being bad or whatever and one being chaos. Ian Malcolm says he only wears black and gray because he wants to take out the whole monotonous experience of picking out clothes because how boring is fashion. So he doesn't really want to participate in that, just wear everything black and gray.
The all-time best example of the Spielberg face is this total awe from Sam Neill.
Yes.
I love how Spielberg
This
spent
look
so
is like
much
you
time on
believe that
human
they're
faces
actually
because
seeing
it
these
helps
dinosaurs.
prime the viewer to emotionally latch onto whatever follows, and in this case, it's a Brachiosaurus. Spielberg's original plan for this movie was to create the dinosaurs practically, animatronics from the great Stan Winston, and stop motion from the great Phil Tippett. ILM animator Dennis Murin created animation of the Gallimimus running. This truly was a watershed moment in the history of filmmaking. The Marvel Cinematic Universe would totally not exist without this VFX breakthrough in this movie. And when the stop motion animator Phil Tippett saw the computer animation, he famously leaned over to Spielberg and said, "I think we're extinct."
That's so sad too.
We're out of a job.
I'm pretty sure Eric's about to say it right now, but this film would not have been as good as it was if they only used that CGI. You need both, and when you put them together properly, movies like this, they look good 30 years later.
Stan Winston's animatronics look incredible, and of all the graphics, these are the shots that look the best in this movie in 2023.
Yeah.
And Phil Tippett's stop motion was actually rigged with sensors that fed the dinosaur movement into the computer model. So really, stop motion animators were retrained on the job, and everybody was working together. Hammond's ride, where a video version of himself steps forward, was
I love this whole like concept of him going in there to this ride and talking to himself.
Hello, John.
I'll need a drop of blood. Your blood.
Right. Oh, John, that hurt.
So I need to know, when he set that up, is this like a promotional video just for the lawyer inspection? Or is this set up where every single person that comes through that, he's supposed to be there doing this tour? Because they made this whole video where he's talking to himself, and it only works if it's him that's there.
This Mr. DNA short film was conceived by David Koepp in his rewrite of the film to condense the huge sections of Crichton's exposition, and it works so efficiently. Animator Bob Kurtz created the Mr. DNA character.
Are these characters autoerotica?
No.
I know, what the f***, Gennaro?
Was he trying to say
That was
animatronic?
kink, and he can't even tell if real human beings are animatronic. Another Crichton to it.
I never noticed that line before.
B.D. Wong plays the great Dr. Henry Wu in this film and in all three films of the sequel trilogy, Jurassic World, Fallen Kingdom, and Dominion. Part of
He also plays him in Camp Cretaceous.
what makes the hatching feel so vivid, other than the amazing puppetry, is the sound design.
Go on then.
Foley artist Denny Thorpe crushed ice cream cones and squished cantaloupe melon halves to get the sound. We don't care that in one shot the robotic claw is holding in place and the next shot it's gone. Muldoon warns about the raptor's agility.
50, 60 miles per hour if they ever got out in the open. And they're astonishing jumpers.
Yeah, it gets buried, but the closest a raptor gets later is when they jump at Lexi.
Lex.
Spielberg loves to do with X. They debate the ethics of this park's existence over lunch. Malcolm doesn't hold back.
Yeah, but your scientists were so preoccupied with whether or not they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
How can we stand in the light of discovery and not act?
And Malcolm shoots back.
What you call discovery, I call the rest of the natural world.
Even Hammond is blind to this truth. Hammond's grandson Tim has clearly dressed like Grant, blue shirt, scarf around the neck, and Spielberg stays on them for 50 seconds in the shot going through the trucks. Another sneaky Spielberg oneer to show Grant trying to sidestep these kids as if they're swarming raptors on him. The automated
Compare it to the book. Grant likes kids. Like, he's very nice to these children. Lex in the book is so effing annoying. She's the younger sibling. She is so annoying at every chance she gets.
We see Nedry's workspace, and on his left monitor is the movie Jaws, the moment the shark jumps up at Brody. And on his desk behind the barbasol later are racist pieces, a nod to Spielberg's candy from E.T.
If you want to watch shows and movies unedited, full length, they're over on my Patreon. You can go watch them. Go check it out. You want to pick a movie for me to watch? You can do that, and I'll throw up my Patreon. Want to vote and polls to decide what I watch next and watch some requested movies with me? You can do that.
But Jaws inspires the next sequence as they pass empty paddocks for the Dilophosaurus and the T-Rex, and not seeing these dinosaurs, we wonder where they are, and as with the shark, that just gives us more anxiety. Now, this sick Triceratops was an effect by Stan Winston's team, 8 puppeteers sitting in a hole dug beneath the creature, operating cables and push rods, all hidden from view from the actors so that when they walked upon the animal, it would seem real.
That's so crazy.
Yes, this is one half. Now, this movie doesn't ever answer the mystery of why the Triceratops is sick. Creighton's book explains how the Triceratops lacked strong enough teeth for grinding food, so they would swallow rocks to use as gizzard stones. And after 6 weeks in the digestive tract, they'd become too smooth to aid in digestion, so the Triceratops would throw them all up. And then while looking for new rocks, they would swallow the West Indian lilac berries, which poison them, and they'd throw those back up too. And the fact that these were thrown up explains why Sadler doesn't find them in the droppings. Nedry shuts down the security system to steal the embryos, including one from a Stegosaurus, misspelled. We actually see
Oh my
Stegosaurus
gosh.
in the sequel.
Spelling errors? Is that a jolt? Whoa.
There's a photo of J. Robert Oppenheimer, who led the Manhattan Project and obviously
Oh,
a guy who
wow.
understood the dangers of technological breakthroughs on the planet. The first shot we see of the T-Rex is just its head, Stan Winston's animatronic, in the act of eating a goat. Now, they had to reinforce stage 16 of the Warner Brothers backlot to support the 12,000-pound weight of this hydraulic T-Rex. And when it got soaked in rainwater, it began to break down and shake. But the water is essential because it allows the dinosaur's skin to reflect the lightning that much better.
I'm pretty sure the material they used to make it was kind of absorbent, so it was just sucking in the water, which weighed it down more, and that's why it was shaking.
When Tim closes the door, the T-Rex jerks her head over and stops. This is a hydraulic move that Winston's animatronic could pull off perfectly, stopping with no recoil or bounce. Because
That's so crazy. It's such a heavy thing, and it stops so quick, and it has to stop just like that.
let's talk about the impossible cliff. The T-Rex walked in from a jungle enclosure, but now on the other side of that fence is a huge drop-off. Now, this is actually all explained.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, that could make sense.
The point of the pit is to separate the T-Rex paddock from the other paddocks where the T-Rex could have hunted prey. Also, David Koepp's final shooting draft of the screenplay reads, the T-Rex starts to nudge the explorer toward the barrier. Over the barrier, there is a gentle terraced area at one side where the Rex emerged from, but the car isn't next to that, it's next to a sharp precipice, representing a 50 or 60 foot drop. I never want to hear about this plot hole ever again. When Nedry tries to free his truck, Spielberg mixes in a cartoon banana peel sound effect. Nedry runs into the Dilophosaurus, whose ability to spit acid was not based on science, it's just something Crichton made up, and its colorful frill was even conceived by concept artists. But the way the barbasol gets sucked into the mud, I just like to think Isla Nublar claimed Nedry so that these secrets wouldn't get out.
I still think it's bullshit that that barbasol can was found all those years later.
Really could have used this 25 years ago.
Bullshit. Just saying.
The T-Rex chasing them in the truck. Great gag from Spielberg and the T-Rex in the side view mirror. Objects in the mirror are closer than they appear. I always love to find a how the shot in which I cannot tell for sure by looking at it how they pulled it off. One comes right here. The T-Rex runs behind the truck. She swings her head into the side of it and leaves a dent. But it's all in motion, so the T-Rex must be VFX, right? Build a prop dinosaur that could run like this. But the dent is practical. That door actually bows inward.
The dinosaurs CGI, couldn't they have something hit the truck and then, I don't know what these technical terms, cut out whatever it is that they had hit the truck and then just CGI the dinosaur in there so the dinosaur hit the truck and left the indent?
actually breaks. That's not VFX. So they must have used a mechanism to bend and break the side of the truck, perfectly timed with the actors diving out of the way so that later they could map in the VFX of the T-Rex. In the gift shop, there is a shot of a book on a shelf, The Making of Jurassic Park by Don Shea and Jodie Duncan, who actually wrote the real life book about this movie. John Hammond eats ice cream because the power is out and
so much ice cream.
Later in the kitchen, we see the freezer doors were left open. This is what caused the ice to melt into puddles, and then when the power got turned back on, that water froze over, making the floor slippery and icy so that Tim can trap her in there. But Hammond tells Sadler about his automated flea circus attraction.
In the book, it was a little elephant he had. They made a little tiny elephant, he would just parade it around to all of his investors. But it was such a little sickly elephant because it wasn't meant to be genetically modified like that it would just keep dying. He'd have to keep creating new ones. Ugh, this poor little elephant.
Grant, Lex, and Tim flee a stampede of Gallimimus. The shot in motion looks better because Spielberg can rely on motion blur, but it doesn't look as good in the shot of them jumping over the log. Now, to be fair, in 1993,
yeah, it doesn't, but it's all right.
This shot looked great. But I just find it interesting that the ILM simulation that blew the producers' minds is the VFX shot in this movie that probably aged the worst. It didn't mix in any kind of live action puppets to give us an initial practical sample that we could latch
I agree with that. Oh yeah, I do wish they would have had a couple animatronic Gallimimuses just to see what it would look like. I agree with him, though. I think it would have looked better. And you might not have noticed how off the other ones looked.
Muldoon gets his.
Clever girl.
I love that he just looks at it and he's like, clever. Like, I admit I have been had. I have been beat. You won. Checkmate. I am checking out of this world.
The kids hide in the kitchen from the raptors, the most tense scene of the film. We start with a shadow on the mural wall, followed by a raptor's breath fogging the window. Though as the animatronic first enters the room, you can see a puppeteer's hand on its tail. But when that raptor jumps on the table, holy crap, the VFX looks really good. Also helping sell this, the raptor's reflections on all the stainless steel surfaces. All these reflections had to be painted in. Lex uses these reflective surfaces to her advantage. Really, the raptors are just seeing her reflection. Spielberg is paying direct homage to Stanley Kubrick's The Shining here. The moment when Danny hides her
I haven't even seen The Shining. Oh, I need to. I've read the book.
From Jack in the kitchen by crawling in an oven. They call Hammond over the phone and he hears Grant's shotgun fire on the other end. One thing I just noticed about Jurassic Park, I'm pretty sure we don't really see any gunshots fired on screen. Like Muldoon screamed, "Shoota!" in the opening scene, but we don't actually see any shots fired. Just kind of
They wouldn't allow them to be shot anyway because they cost so much money to make, so they're just shocking them.
the tasers prodding. I don't think he really gets a shot off when the raptor
Pretty sure actual guns weren't really allowed on this island. Muldoon, I think, had the only gun. There may have been one or two. He had the only ones, and they were locked up. So when shit was actually hitting the fan and they needed those guns, they had to go and drive to go get those guns.
And here we just see the aftermath of a shootout. We see the raptor, the amazing shot of the strings of GATC projected on her, the amino acid base pairs that form DNA, all this madness because they plugged in frog DNA into million-year-old dino blood. When Lex falls through the air vent, as the raptor snaps up at us. It's an amazing wonder, but look at Lex's face. This is a stunt woman when Lex initially falls through, but Spielberg mapped in Ariana Richards' face over that stunt performer's face. You can actually tell when it kind of smooshes down as Lex. Originally, the T-Rex wasn't going to appear in the final sequence at all. It was just going to be a raptor on the suspended fossil. Spielberg, though, realized the T-Rex was really the star of this movie.
She was. She really was.
The audience would want to see her one last time, so he essentially makes her the hero who saves the humans.
What I like about Jurassic, the first one, a lot is she wasn't the hero. She wasn't going in there to save them. She was going to take out that raptor and then she was going to go after them if they were still there. What really bothers me about the later installments is they do make Rexy the hero and they make her less of a dinosaur or an animal and more of like a person where she's like, I'm actively going to go save these humans. And it's like, no, what was good about this is you happen to save the humans, but that was never your intention.
Hammond gives one last look at his failed dream. While the more pleasant final image of Jurassic Park is Grant with the kids, the bad dad evolved into the happy papa, looking out at pelicans. The final image for me is the broken John Hammond looking at the mosquito and Amber. The villain from Michael Crichton's movie is John Hammond, but Spielberg could not allow Hammond to be too evil because Spielberg saw too much of himself in this character. Jurassic Park was
I do kind of wish they did let Hammond be Hammond because the death that Hammond got in the book is fucking horrifying. Like, if you don't want to know about it, skip ahead or whatever because I'm about to spoil it right now. the aftermath of like everyone's kind of safe from the dinosaurs. He's like, is it safe for me to go outside and take a walk? And I'm like, yeah, it's pretty much safe. All the raptors are dead. You know, you should be pretty good. Power's back on, the dinosaurs are contained. So he goes out to take a walk, and it's little compies, baby compies that get him. He's walking, he falls down, and then the little compies start swarming around him, and they can realize that they're stronger than him. So they just start eating him alive, and that's how he died. I don't know why they didn't include it in the movie. I don't know which season it was of Camp Cretaceous, but I'm pretty sure, oh, it might have been season 3. Yaz says that they read a book that John Hammond was killed on the island by dinosaurs.
The original park owner broke his ankle and then was eaten alive by compies.
That's not true. John Hammond died of natural causes. Where'd you hear that?
Read it somewhere?
It launched 2 film trilogies, and it changed Hollywood forever.
I can't wait to see what's more to come with Jurassic. There's so much they can do with it. And they're already making like another animated cartoon. I think it's supposed to be aimed at like a younger group than Camp Cretaceous was. And Camp Cretaceous, I feel like, was like preteens to teens. Or maybe preteens it was for. I also hear I think they're doing like another one. They didn't say what age demographic they're going for yet, but I really want, I don't care if it's animated or not, because I really like the looks of Camp Cretaceous, but I want a show, a Jurassic show. And with animals like free in our world, there's so much they could do with that.
Packaged it and slapped it on a plastic lunchbox, and now they're selling it.
We stand on the shoulders of giants to create the next great thing, and yet we take no responsibility for our own creations.
So, Spielberg Summer will continue with my favorite of his films, the most important to me and to my family, Jaws. Support us with
Oh my gosh, I love Jaws so much. Even the book. Jaws is so good.
Subscribe to all 3 of New Rockstar's channels, turn notifications on, and share this channel and its videos with everyone you love. Follow me at EA Voss, and I'll see you next time, my Divers of the Deep.
I really want to see somebody do a breakdown of the movies, the shows, how they all relate to each other. Like, I know he really was only staying on topic with the first one, which makes sense, but they're all just so interconnected, and this story is so deep. I honestly feel like the Jurassic Park series does not get the recognition it deserves. For the lore behind it, I love the Camp Cretaceous series because it goes into like a lot more that you don't see on screen. I know some of the later seasons, like the last 2 seasons, were not that good. The season with the Scorpius Rex was my favorite. That dinosaur is so ugly, but I love that dinosaur so much, mainly because it's so ugly. And it looks horrifying. It looks like partially human. There's so much to go in. I haven't even finished The Evolution of Claire. I've literally been reading that book for like 2 years. But even that, there's more to go in. I'm pretty sure there's like comic books. There's so much Jurassic lore that they could do things with, and I really wish they would. And that Mosasaurus that escaped, make a movie about hunting the friggin' Mosasaurus. That would be so cool. There's so many other little movies they could do, and even if they wanted to do them animated, if they wanted to do them one-offs, I really wish we're just getting more Jurassic movies. We only have 6, and that's in like 30 years. I really feel like we could do with a couple more. A good live-action TV show. There's just so much, like, dinosaurs are escaping all over the world. That means there's so many people around the world that are experiencing these, and they could even do prequels. I think it was the second book or the first book. Some of these got off island and they got to the mainland. So all the way dating back to the 90s, some of these dinosaurs made it to the mainland. And when you just watch the movies, you don't even really know that until like 2020s or 2015s when the Jurassic World came out. Or even if they still want to continue in the future, there's so much they could do, and I really wish they would get on it. Thank you guys for watching this with me. I might watch a Jaws one. I'm not 100% sure. We'll see how this one does. Bye.